I'm Scott. I'm a Quiet Place fan.
Hi, I'm Senthil, and I'm a Bird Box fan.
So the two of us have decided, since we disagree, we're going to start watching as many horror movies as we can and come up with a new way of rate them. Come join us. Hey, Cynthia, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Scott.
Hey, I've got to tell you, I'm really excited by this movie that we are going to be reviewing, because between you and me, after watching this to me is how a micro budget film can be done and done well.
I entirely agree. I have a lot of respect for what the director managed to accomplish. This movie reminded me of Bloodfest in that it's a different concept about people who are going on a horror camp for adults.
Yeah.
And did some interesting things with and there was a lot of tension. The music was fabulous. It's the same music composer who had done Open 24 Hours. And it reiterated for me how important music is to creating tension and fear in a horror movie. I really love this for a horror, low budget horror movie. What did you think?
Yeah, so I enjoyed this movie so much. And for me, it was because I felt that they used every penny really wisely and really took advantage of this. So Cynthia, I want to give you a little background on this, just because, so this movie is called Ruin Me. It was release year was 2017. It was actually made for Shudder Films. So it was made for the television streaming service Shudder. It runs 87 minutes long. This is the director's first full-length movie. His name is Preston DeFrancis. And I'm telling you, so what the email I got, actually, let me say the Twitter I got back from the director, because I was asking on the budget, right? So when you and I are talking micro budget, we're talking about things under $1 million, right? So, doing a film under $1 million. Basically what Preston came back and said is that, hey, we made this for in the very low 6-figure range. And there was a lot of really great people that dedicated their time and talent well below their normal rates. And you can see it, Senthil. And that is why this film, yes, does it kind of follow that Bloodfest? It's that trope of, but this is where I'd love to, and this is where I wanted to get your feedback on this. He took two really cool ideas. A, escape rooms.
Yeah. B,
weird dudes chasing people in the middle of the woods, and combine them for an incredibly suspenseful, and I never saw the ending coming.
There's a third element to that. There's the psychological mystery aspect of it. That that's what it reminded me of Open 24 Hours, where you're not really sure exactly what the primary character is seeing and what to believe and what not to believe. He did a great job of keeping that mystery going.
So were you as surprised as I was at the ending? And in the ending, I didn't even know if that was the ending. It was, I liked it so much because I was left with the same feeling as Inception. When the top is turning, you see the top turning, and there's that battle of, oh, the top fell over, the top was still turning. That is how I felt in this. Was it the ending of the movie or was it not?
That's a great comparison. It's a very appropriate comparison, because I had the same reaction. I really didn't know exactly what I saw. I didn't know what had happened, and I wasn't sure. And the primary character also does not know what happened and what didn't happen. So you're left in complete mystery, and it's a great job of how he twisted the end.
Yeah, and I will also say that the characters worked well. And I thought that they played their parts really well. I loved the goth guy and the goth, chick. And I really enjoyed how they played against each other. And I liked how the goth chick kind of evolved into this, different kind of character, and how they were. And, the thing is, you don't want to give too much away, but the way they were playing into the main character's fears and irrationality, it just worked well.
Yeah, the goth chick had layers. She was a complex character. And when we originally started this journey, we talked about, maybe we don't really talk about acting and performance, but it does make a difference in how convincing and believable. And the actors in this movie did a great job of selling their roles and the complexity in very simple settings. It's not a very complex set.
No, I mean, and what I loved about it was it wasn't a complex set, Senthil. They knew what they had. At least that's how I felt. Now, maybe the director will say something different, but what I'm saying, to me, they knew what they had. They knew what they had to work with, and they did it so well. They tied everything together. And I don't want to say that they delivered the present nicely gift wrapped, because it's not. You're left with this jumbled, and when I say a jumbled mess, I'm saying this in the best way, because you're left not knowing. And that's the beauty of horror, man, is you should be left with this unquiet.
Yeah, there is no necessarily happy begin or happy ending to these types of horror movies. It's the most successful ones aren't.
Yeah.
In fact, the director did such a great job. I overlooked some of the issues with the movie. In the very beginning, effectively, the guy from Deliverance pulls up in a murder mobile, and they all climb in.
Yes.
But the rest of the movie, and then we never saw him again. But the rest of the movie was so well done that that was not a big issue for me.
So I will say that immediately after watching this film, I went to go see if Preston had directed anything else, because I was really interested to see, what he's done. Shockingly enough, there's no other works. Now, maybe it's just because this film was released in 2018 and he's working towards that. But I would like to see something else from this director.
It highlights how difficult making movies are. It's not just from the production and the directing and the writing and the music and the acting, but it's also having the opportunity to pursue further work once you've been successful. We've seen some very good directors. We've talked about how Killer Sofa's director did a pretty amazing job with a really silly premise.
Yes.
The movie here, Ruin Me, similar, low budget, not a silly premise, and did an outstanding job of selling it. I enjoyed it.
I will say, Senthil, this is a movie that I would gladly tell friends that are horror aficionados about this film. It is totally worth the watch when you realize how little budget this cast, crew, and director had to work with.
And it's also maybe it's a factor of how long we've been at this, but we've talked about the fact that physical effects, the blood, the gore, doesn't do it as much for us. This is a great example of a movie that doesn't rely on blood and gore in order to make it a successful horror movie.
Senthil, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was surprised at how little special effects were necessary in order to create a real tension in this film.
Yeah, in fact, when I first saw the description, I expected something like Wrong Turn.
Yes.
But it's not. It's nowhere close.
No, it was great. Senthil, thank you so much for your time. It was a lot of fun speaking with you about Ruin Me. Hey, if you're watching this and you're looking to pick up any more of our movies, you can always find them here on our webcast. Hey, Senthil, thank you so much for taking the time to talk about Ruin Me.
Thank you, Scott. I'd love to talk to the director. It sounds like we may have an opportunity to do that. I'm fascinated to see how he pulled off what he did. So thank you for taking the time. Enjoyed it.
Absolutely. And I'll see you next week.
Next week.